I was like, somebody said I have a nice ass. Of course I'll take that award.
I'm a 15-year-old girl. That's what we do. We crave attention.
There was something worse. There was a countdown to me losing my virginity. The Sun had done a countdown.
Welcome to Pop-Tarts! Look at all you gorgeous people gagging for the poppy gossip. By 2007, she'd sold 10 million records. 10 million records. And then she went on to release her first delicious pop album, Tissues and Issues.
Yes!
Oh my God. A gorgeous headdress for us, and you're wearing sequins. That makes me so happy.
So I would love to introduce you to my little baby.
Oh my gosh, it's so small.
Spring
Cozy.
realness, honey.
So I want to start at the very, very beginning and your early career. Can you tell us a little bit about that infamous phone call on This Morning, and how did it happen?
I was down my nana's house, basically, and there was a phone in for talented kids. And so, brazen as I was, I phoned. I didn't tell my nan. I didn't tell anybody because they wouldn't have let me. I'm not paying that on my bastard phone bill. You ain't paying the phone bill, are you? And then they said, oh, we're going to put you live on air. Can we speak to the adult that you're with? And so I was like, oh. So then I had to tell my Auntie Caroline. I was like, Richard and Judy are on the phone. They want to speak to you. And so, yeah, it turned out that they weren't pissed off with me. It was fine. It's all so different now. It's such a different landscape, isn't it?
Everybody it really is.
Sort of get their
this was all pre-social media as well. And it was the 90s, and you were so young. What was that like, being famous so young in the 90s?
When I was really young, it was fine. But it was sort of when I got to teenagerhood, you know, at 16, 17, and the press sort of took over, and they had made their own narrative for me. Yeah. And I think that, you know, they have a particular venom for working class girls and working class women, and they certainly did at the time. To be honest, it's sort of it made me pretty resilient. I've got skin like a rhino now.
I think when you're a working class girl, you have to have skin of a rhino, otherwise you wouldn't survive at the best of times. And one of the things that I was really shocked by was when you turned 16 and you were voted Rear of the Year.
Yeah.
Turned 16. That is outrageous.
Yeah, yes. I mean, it was, but also I did accept the award because I was 16 and I wasn't seeing myself as, like, you know, a youth. I was like, somebody said I have a nice ass. Of course I'll take that award.
I'm a 15-year-old girl. That's what we do. We crave attention.
I mean, there was something worse. There was a countdown to me losing my virginity. The Sun had done a countdown.
It's outrageous.
And then Chris Moyles talked about it on Radio 1. It was all a bit gross, really.
I remember when Billie Eilish turned 18 recently, and it was like the most searched thing on Pornhub that day was Billie Eilish because she just turned 18.
No way.
You know, that's almost 30 years apart, and behaviour is still kind of happening.
Oh, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. Like, we've come a certain way, but there's a long way to go in terms of feminism and equality. But, you know, there's bigots everywhere, and, you know, hopefully we can heal them all and just turn them with love. But maybe some of them will just have to die out.
What made you want to shake off your classical music image then and go down the pop route?
I think it was just because I wanted to be cool. Like, I wanted to be relevant to my friends, which meant that, you know, I had to be an R&B superstar, which I never managed to do, which pains me to this day. There's still time.
Crazy Chick was such an iconic bop, especially amongst the gays. I mean, we absolutely love it.
Yeah.
What is the fondest memory of that time?
I remember like all the party in the parks.
Yeah.
All those sort of things. So I remember going sort of from city to city doing party in the parks with this different local radio station and whatnot. And at one of them, Daniel Bedingfield dedicated If You're Not the One to me, which I didn't know how to feel about it at the time. But looking back, it was excellent.
I mean, the video is iconic as well in itself. And I actually, in one of your documentaries that I watched the other day, part of it was filming of that video. Yes. And you were quite self-conscious, I felt, about the video.
Oh,
especially like when it came to like your body, you were talking about like not wanting to show too much skin. And I thought that was quite interesting because when you watch the video, obviously you don't see that part of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird. I think I was always like, I was brought up in a Catholic household. So my nana was always like, you know, oh, Mother of God, oh, what are they doing? And, you know, all of that sort of stuff. So the women in my family always had this idea of themselves as incredibly classy. even though they definitely weren't. They definitely were. They were getting dragged out of the pub for all sorts of shit. Yeah, so maybe it was to do with that. But also, I think, you know, the other famous people at the time were all incredibly skinny. And so even though I was like the smallest, I would love to be that size again. But, you know, I was comparing myself to all these like tiny, really fit, toned, skinny girls.
Yeah. It wasn't cool to be curvaceous in the 90s. It really wasn't.
No, exactly. So I think that I was self-conscious. But, you know, now looking back on videos like Crazy Chicken Call My Name and that sort of stuff, I just think, oh, like, I was amazing. But I suppose
you are amazing. You're still amazing.
But I suppose that's just a feature of getting older as well.
What was it like having your own TV show? I mean, the Charlotte Church show is kind of iconic.
It was amazing. It was really challenging. Like, I'd never done comedy or sketch comedy and all that sort of stuff. I feel like I had a bit more creative control over the first series, and it was just a bit more madcap. And then it became a little bit more sort of like a chat show. And as it got more chat showy, I was a bit like, I preferred this sort of cool, crazy comedy stuff.
Yeah. Did you have a lot of creative input into that then, or was it kind of out of your hands by that point?
I did at the start, but it became really successful. And like when things become very successful, then lots of people jump on because they want to keep it that way. But sometimes then the magic gets ruined. I got to do duets. I did a musical duet at the end of every episode. So I sang with loads of people. I sang with Solange, Amy Winehouse.
I mean, that you can't replace those memories. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, it was a barrel of fun.
What do you think of pop music now and what it is and how it's changed?
I think there's some really incredible music out there. You know, because now there's so many more artists actually when you scratch the surface, then there's some incredible music being made. A lot of the chart music I hear is just loads of trap, which my son's really into. And whilst I love some of it, I just think like, oh, come on, like, get with it. It's still so misogynistic. It's like boring.
Yeah, it really is.
Back on.
And I feel like in some ways it's getting more misogynistic because music's becoming more explicit as well.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was more like insinuated. Things were insinuated. Now they really get to the point of what they want to say.
Totally. But mind you, I was having this conversation with my daughter the other day, and we were talking about WAP. And, you know, the fact that that's pretty explicit. But then I was thinking about, I can't believe I'm going to say this. My neck, my back.
I think I know what you mean. There's been like videos of it going around where it's
back,
like,
which was way worse than WAP.
Yeah.
Same in comparison. So I don't know. It all comes in circles, doesn't it? Really.
It does. You love the gays. The gays love you. What are your best memories from going out clubbing? Probably
some of the best times I ever had was when I was maybe between the ages of 16 and 20. So my auntie Caroline was a cabaret singer, so she used to the pubs and clubs, and there was a couple of gay clubs in Cardiff. Absolutely adored her. You know, she'd do all the big Whitney and Barbara and all of them, and so we used to go to the King's Cross and the Canadian, and there was a couple of gay bars in town that loved her, and she'd do quite regularly, and we would just have the best time. Maybe that there was like a heyday for drinking, I think that was probably in the noughties.
Binge drinking is not as cool with young people anymore.
Binge drinking and you know, and then when you get to sort of your mid-30s, it's just, again, you can't really do it.
I remember they used to talk about it all the time, like binge drinking, but like it was in the press a lot. I feel like it was
totally.
And celebrities were like falling out of bars. There was a whole culture around it. I mean,
totally.
Totally.
It's not big and it's not clever, but it's loads of fun.
You're really not scared to speak your mind and talk about the political views you have and women's rights and climate change. Do you think you'd ever get involved with politics?
I think I can be of more use out of politics, to be honest. I mean, there's so many issues that I'm really passionate about. I'm really passionate about children's rights and education, as you said, climate change. In our household, we've got one rule, which is don't be a dick. And I think that should just sort of be across it all, really. Just don't be a dick.
You think it'll be easier for people? It's quite surprising how hard people find that to grasp.
But also, I think the only reason it is because people are in pain. And so I think that the work that is to be done, the real serious work that is to be done, is about healing.
A lot of people carrying a lot of trauma around.
Exactly, and so that's the job of the light beings, of the people who were sort of going around trying to do good, which is absolutely drag as well.
I know, we are.
I totally like
Spreading the love whether you like it or not.
You are all light workers.
You started your own school, which is really amazing as well, which is sort of student and community led, right?
Yeah, so the idea is that we create these sort of free to attend, democratic, creative, eco villages, where the community and the kids and the parents and grandparents, they build the school together.
Yeah.
And so there could be one, like at the moment there's one in the forest in South Wales. You know, there could be one in the Scottish Highlands. There could be one in, they could be anywhere. And so that's what I'm trying to do is so people can have an alternative to mainstream education.
Especially like as a queer person, our experiences at school are often really traumatizing, and we carry them around for years and years. And actually during lockdown, I made a video online where I shared about my school experience, because it was really negative, and I was so creative and the school just didn't know what to do. And that is the same for a lot of queer people all around the world.
For me, like, if you want to change the world, then I think one of the quickest routes to it is through education. And at the moment, all we're doing is we're narrowing our children's minds, and we're only giving them what the world is currently and what we already know, rather than what's possible and what needs to happen. And the fact that, creativity, communication, these are all things that at the moment mainstream can't value, because it's just so set in its ways. It just can't see the wood for the trees, and it's such a juggernaut that to turn it round, which it will eventually be turned around, but what I'm trying to do is create an alternative. But there isn't a private school.
I didn't have a normal upbringing. My mum took me in and out of school because she didn't agree with the schooling system, because I feel like it does condition children to fit into a very specific box, and sometimes that can be really detrimental to our souls as well, and who we're as a person, and our self-worth and our self-belief, and then you go into the world and then you kind of have to undo all that. And that's even if you have the consciousness to understand what's happened to you, and
exactly. It's just about empowering communities, and it's just about helping people just see behind the veil. Just, that this woke culture, more and more people are waking up now, whatever you think of that, whether you think about it in a deep spiritual Age of Aquarius way, or whether you just think people are, this sort of, we're holding people to account more. We're looking at systemic racism, we're looking at systemic bigotry in all of its forms. Young people haven't been listened to enough. They're very much, and particularly like the millennials. I don't know if you're a millennial or a Gen Z, but this whole pitting the generations against each other. It's like this isn't aiding anybody. Like, we have so many huge problems to try and sort out. Like, we literally have to save the world. What a project. Like, we've all got humanity now has to save the world. Now, for me, that could be so fucking awesome. Do you know what I mean? It could be so life affirming and inspiring, and that we all start working as this one big human family. And maybe I'm idealistic, but I think we have to be, because the alternative is so terrible. It's a pretty beautiful planet, and I really don't want to go to Mars.
Absolutely. All right, I've got some questions for you from our gorgeous viewers, and we're going to take a really big U-turn, because the gays are harsh, Charlotte. I'm not going to lie. Some of these questions are straight to the point. Who is your favourite Drag Race UK contestant?
Taste.
Taste is a star.
What the fuck with Estina though?
I know.
Like nobody was batting.
I mean, the whole system of elimination this season, I feel like, is off. Taste was born for Drag Race. I've known Taste since the very beginning of her career. Her first drag competition, and she's just born for it. She's so funny, so lovable. I mean, how can you not love her? Okay, so Marcus W asked, I loved Tissues and Issues. Any chance of a new album soon?
I'm sort of on a bit of a spiritual journey at the moment, and so I think I'm definitely going to make another album. but I think I want to make it quite healing. So sort of bringing back lots of some of the classical sounds and the orchestral stuff, but also maybe making it quite beatsy as well, because I feel like that is super healing, just, you know, dancing. So like church dance.
Church dance. Mahatma Candy, who's one of our lovely Sing the Pink Queens, would like to know if the Charlotte Church show would ever come back.
I mean, I would totally do it. It would be very different now, I think. Because I'm a big old grizzly bitch now. Maybe I should be a YouTuber. Because all you have to do is just, you know, record the shit you do and say.
You say that, but I've tried it. It's hard.
Yeah, there's way more to it than that, to be fair. You've got to think about videos but yes, I mean, I would if I was asked.
Chris H would like to know, when was the first moment you realised you could sing?
Because I was so little, I didn't really think about it in those terms.
Yeah.
I loved singing. Do you know what? Actually, I was doing a talent show in a pub called the Golden Hind in Cardiff, but it was like, it wasn't a kids' talent show, it was a talent show for anybody. And I came second in that, and I remember singing Part of Your World.
Classic, yeah.
So I did 3 songs. One was On My Own from Les Mis. One was the disco version of Tomorrow from Annie.
Disco version, that's camp.
I had, my auntie had made me an outfit and everything. But yeah, I sang Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid. And I can just, I remember, even now, I was only 8, being on stage and singing and just like, just loving it. And so it's not necessarily realizing I can sing, but I think it was just when I fell in love with performing.
You just have no inhibitions, and you don't know what is good or what is bad or what is wrong or what is right. You just go with what feels right. So I guess you didn't have as much fear as probably we do as adults.
Totally. And I mean, I look at my little baby now, my little 6-month-old, and the way I see it is that, you know, the kids, the little ones, they're really close to the source of whatever existence is, of where we all come from. They aren't conditioned, they aren't bigoted, and they don't have all of these hang-ups like we do.
I've got another question from Maxine P. This one's funny. What's the wildest thing you've ever done at a party?
I mean, the way I would dance was pretty pornographic, but almost like, I'm not an amazing dancer, but I really think I am.
That's fine.
And then put a couple of drinks in me, and it's just utter filth.
What is your weapon of choice?
People.
Oh, lap dancing queen. I bet you've done much worse, Charlotte. I think you're being very modest.
I've done so much worse. But my children are around.
Harpel M asks, who's your favourite pop star?
Do you know what? I really like Doja Cat at the moment.
Yeah, she's so sick.
Yeah, I think she's great. But you know, a lot of the time with pop music in any era, there's a certain amount of homogeny that goes on. You know, one person's successful, everybody sort of copies, and everybody looks a bit like a carbon copy of, you know, Ariana Grande or whatever. But I think Doja Cat is sort of like, she's kept her own little feist and juice.
You know, whenever she features on a track, she always outdoes whoever she's with. Like, I don't know why you invite her onto your track, because she's so much better than you, and she's effortless. I think that's what really makes her captivating. It's very effortless.
Yeah, totally. So Hot Pink is the album that I've been listening to of Doja Cat.
I can't wait to dance to Doja in a club together, Charlotte. Sam O asks, who is the nicest pop star you've ever met, and who was the meanest?
Shirley Bassey was terrible.
Really?
Yeah. I met her a few times. She was just really mean. And I was gutted because she's Shirley Bassey. She's a Welsh legend. Like, I'd grown up singing her songs. She was always just very, very disconnected. So I felt like she was really disconnected with not just me, but the world in general.
Yeah.
The best pop star that I met.
You met Julie Andrews, didn't you? I watched a video of you earlier.
I went on tour with Julie Andrews.
So iconic.
Oh my gosh, she's
Did you realise who you were talking to when you were a kid, when you were talking to Julie Andrews?
I mean, yes, because I'd watched The Sound of Music and Mary Poppins, and I'd grown up with all those films. But and she was incredible. Like, she really was like she's just a much better version of the Queen.
Oh, lovely.
Like, fuck the Queen. The Queen can
go. Make a great Queen.
Let's have Julie Andrews. Will Young is lush.
Yeah, we love Will Young.
Yeah, Will Young is absolutely delightful. I remember going to the Isle of Wight festival. I bought a yacht when I was
Posh bitch.
when I was being a posh bitch. I mean, it lasted for a year. I was skint. I had to give it. I had to sell
Do you
it.
think you are?
I know. But Will Young came and partied on the yacht at the Isle of Wight festival, and it was just like, it was probably like the height of my, not dickheadedness, but like showiness. Robbie Williams was an absolute diamond.
Do you think he's changed now, or do you think he's the same?
I think he's changed. I don't know. Ego's a funny thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the thing is, when I met him, like, he was pretty much at the height of his fame at that point, and he was delightful.
Yeah. I mean, you would be happy if you were that successful. You'd hope.
Yeah. But yes, something's happened. I think it's mental health stuff.
Finian Dwight asks, how long did it take you to record Tissues and Issues compared to your first album, Voice of an Angel? Was there a big difference?
Huge. I mean, Voice of an Angel took like a week and a half.
Wow.
We knew all the material going in, recorded with the orchestra. I laid down my vocals, and it was super quick. Whereas with Tissues and Issues, I was working with songwriters all over the world. I was working with different producers. So that took way longer. Crazy Chick was written by a guy from Atlanta called Fitzgerald Scott. And so I went, oh my gosh, I'd had such a good time in Atlanta, because all my life I've been absolutely obsessed with R&B.
Did you go to strip club? Because they've got amazing strip clubs in Atlanta.
Oh, I didn't go to any strip clubs. Because I know, well, for the first bit of it, I was with my boyfriend at the time. And then for the second half of it, I was with my mother. Mind you, she would have gone to a strip club.
Yeah, my mom definitely.
Outside all the studios, you've got like kids like blasting their beats because they're trying to sell their beats to these producers.
Yeah. Okay, we've got Pedro S. What album or song has got you through lockdown?
Don't have too much fun without me. Jasmine Sullivan, I think, is the name.
Really?
And she's got this song. Oh my gosh, I don't know if it's called "Don't Have Too Much Fun Without Me," but they're the lyrics of the chorus. But yeah, Jasmine Sullivan. It's just so like, it's heartbreaking, but it's in that way that like LCD Sound System does. You know, LCD Sound System's got this like, it's like this sadness for party, but this lockdown has really made me go, I'm ready.
What is on your rider?
Prosecco.
Yeah.
I think we asked for vodka and beer.
Are you one of these pop stars that likes to ask for a rider and then take it all home, or do you actually?
Absolutely. I'm like clearing the shelves. Thank you very much. We'll have that for later. I'm not leaving it here. That's good produce.
Do you know what? I once did this gig with Craig David. Well, I've done a few gigs with him, and he asks for peeled boiled eggs on his rider, and I was really outraged by that. But I was more outraged by the fact he didn't even eat them; he just left them.
Oh no!
And it was such a job to peel those boiled eggs, and you didn't even eat them. I think that's so rude.
Don't be a dick, Craig.
Don't be a dick.
There's one rule: don't be a dick.
Thank you so much for chatting to us, Charlotte.
Thank you.
So nice.
It was so nice to talk to you and your beautiful sparkly face.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Look after yourself. Bye, everyone.
Love you, love you, love you.